We were flying up to Quebec City out of Chicago for an event with Luc Robitaille, and Lord Stanley and I checked in at O'Hare on United Airlines, 2+ hours from the flight, obviously with Chicago being the former Stanley Cup champions. Great treatment there. The United Airlines people were really good to me, VIP service, everything from the TSA. And they said, oh, well, we got it from here, and no different than any other time I took a flight. I figured everything was fine. Well, unfortunately, when I arrived here in Montreal, Lord Stanley didn't make it on the plane for whatever reason. To this day, I don't know why. I worry about getting it back and not finding out why I didn't make it. It's more about getting it back. So, when I was dealing with the baggage guy, at first, I don't think he believed me that I traveled with the Stanley Cup. He had to call his manager to get to find out that Mike Bolt was really one of the keepers of the Cup. She knew who I was, and he started stepping up to the plate a little bit and making things work. It was supposed to be on a midnight flight, which got canceled. Then it was supposed to be on an early morning flight for whatever reason. I don't know what happened, but I finally got it back physically in my hands at 9:30. The next available flight to Quebec City was at 11 o'clock in the morning, but I had to be on a 2 o'clock to Toronto from Quebec City to get to San Francisco because I had an NHL event in San Jose. And I was a little hesitant to go on, but talking to the organizer of the event and Luke, they please just begged me, please, can you just come by for 25 minutes? We don't care. We just wanted to show up briefly for a quick photo op. And you always hate, you know, I felt bad as it is because we were letting them down because the Cup didn't make it for their whole entire event. So I said I was going to make a college effort at it. And so I was checking in on the 11 o'clock flight. As I was checking in, I found out my flight to Toronto was canceled due to weather. They said snow, and I went, what? And even Air Canada in Montreal went snow. He just kind of went, whatever. And so I was like, okay, I can't go to Quebec City, and because I cannot miss this. I got to be in San Francisco. That is an NHL event. It unfortunately takes priority over Luke's event. And Air Canada, the people here in Montreal, started playing around the computer, and they said, well, we can make this work somehow if you're up for it. So what is it? So you get to Quebec City on the 11 o'clock. You'll be in there at noon, go do your event, come back, and there's a 2:20 back here to Montreal, at 5 o'clock from Montreal to Toronto, and then at 8 o'clock to San Jose. Now, it gets you in 3 hours later than you normally wanted to, but it gets you there. I said, all right, good enough, let's make it all happen. So I get to Quebec City, and there was a friggin' snowstorm there. This was last week, April 20th or whatever it was, and I get off the plane, it's a blizzard. It felt like the middle of January. And I couldn't believe it. They had a big SUV limo there for me. We finally, after the bags came out in the oversize, we load the Cup up in the SUV limo and we're heading to our event. And we're down to 15 minutes that I can make an appearance now due to weather and everything else. Well, things just get worse from there. The limo slid off the road and crashed into a curb and blew out a tire. I go flying forward, and at the time I didn't realize my keys to the Stanley Cup fell out of my pocket. The guy I'm with jumps out of the limo, and he's trying to flag down cars, and he's speaking in French, which I unfortunately don't speak. All I kept hearing was "Tu coupe Stanley" as he was talking to drivers, and all these drivers are jumping over to give us a ride, but the Cup case doesn't fit in a lot of cars. It has to be an SUV or a minivan. Well, his minivan finally pulls over, and it was so packed full of stuff in the back, we had to slide the Cup case through the middle of the door. I load up all my bags on top of my lap. I'm sitting on a little baby seat curled up in the corner with the Cup case next to me driving to this event, and I can't believe that I'm doing this. Like, I go, we're like 12 minutes we got. So we get to the event, I unload the Cup, walk into this big banquet hall. The place gets pretty excited. There's a lot of press and photographers there. They're taking pictures. We get up to stage. Luc Robitaille comes up and does a photo op with the press and everything like that. He walks away, thanks me. He says, very, very much thank you. Really, really appreciate it. And I go, okay, Luke, I gotta go. Turn around, get back in the car, another car, and head to the airport and fly from Quebec City to Montreal to Toronto to San Francisco, drove into San Jose. I'm out of breath just talking about it, let alone doing it last week. And we got to San Jose. Stanley and I got to San Jose at about 2 o'clock in the morning, 5 a.m. back here in the east. And at 4:45 in the morning, my phone was ringing off the hook, and I guess the story had already broken here in the province of Quebec, and CBC Radio was calling me at 4:45, not realizing I was in California, not Montreal, like they thought I was, and I had to tell them the story too. But those kind of things do happen. I mean, I mentioned earlier in the interview that we travel about 320 days a year, and I think at one point or another, all us cup keepers have had that type of experience where, unfortunately, the cup has missed a connector or didn't make it on the plane for whatever reason. And it's nerve-wracking, but you handle it as delicately as you can, because the person you're dealing with at the other end is trying to help you. They didn't screw you, so you just try and deal with it. And I gotta say, the airlines at the end of the day are pretty good for the amount we fly and everything like that. Percentage-wise, it's really good. Everybody makes mistakes, and it's a question of how you deal with your mistakes that make things right.